Oh yeah, we back at it again with Super Dave with the PA Political Revolution podcast, and we back at it again. We have another guest tonight, a great guest. He's been here before. His name is Mr. Philip Klein, and we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about the aftermath of the election. Mr. Klein, can you go us and let everybody know who you are? Can you introduce yourself?
Well, I can, Dave. I'm Philip Klein, editor of the Southeast Texas Political Review. You can find us by just Googling Southeast Texas Political Review, or you can go to www.set, that's Sam Edward Tom, politicalreview.com. And Dave, before we go on and say anything, I want to say that I am so impressed with your show because let me tell you why.
Go ahead.
Whenever I do media, whether it's national, state, local, whatever I do, very rarely do I get people come up to me and say, thank you for being so honest and frank. Well, I got to tell you the story of over here at the grocery store to which I shop. And I was walking through the aisles, and a nice lady walked up to me, and she said, excuse me, are you Philip Klein? I said, well, I am. And she goes, I was listening to Super Dave the other night, and she said, you guys were great, but even better than that, she goes, thank you for thinking about everybody and not just the people that have money. And I said, honey, let me tell you something. We're all humans. We all should have the same opportunity, and we all need to work hard. Damn, Dave, I'm starting to sound like a Democrat, aren't I? And so, I just want to say congratulations on your show. I think you're really, really, really making people think, and that's what the Southeast Texas Political Review was born on. And you're the first one I've told this to, but a week ago, a year, God, I messed that up, didn't I? 25 years ago, this week, the Southeast Texas Political Review was born, and this is our 25th anniversary. I said I'd go 25 years. Yeah, I'm going to finish the 25th year, but I'm not sure about the 26th. So anyway, we're excited around our office this week. They walked in and to my office when I got back in town Tuesday, and they congratulated me. And anyway, I just want to thank everybody out there that's read this thing, bad spelling and all. I want to thank everybody for their loyalty and reading, and thanks so much.
Good. I appreciate that, man. Yeah, I've heard some great reviews on my side also. Some people loved it and some people hate it because talking about the city. But hey, they'll get over that. Also,
well, what's the old saying, Dave? You got to take the scab off the wound to get it to heal.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I have to take the scab off the wound. Put a little salt on it too, so just to irritate it, so to let you know, hey, I got this scab and I don't want to have this scab again. So to do whatever you need to do.
Everybody has Novocaine, right?
Yeah, exactly. Not everybody has Novocaine, and don't do what you did before to get the scab. You know what I mean? So
exactly. Learn from your mistakes.
So that's good. When I started doing this, I wanted to do something that everybody wasn't doing. I wanted to be real and raw with it. I wanted to be raw with it. And I really wanted to talk about racial issues because, in my opinion, a lot of people are confused about it, don't really understand it, and they have certain concepts about racism, as far as I'm concerned, just some race things in general that people get misconstrued. So I wanted to have that shown, especially with you, where we kind of, we have a lot of things in common, but, in race, we may have certain things that's a little bit on the opposite end. So I really want to bring you to talk to you about it and to kind of, have a good conversation where, other people can see, hey, we can talk about race. We can have a difference of opinion with it where it doesn't get too, crazy, vulgar, or, we're just talking about facts and, points, you know what I mean? Points of our opinion or whatnot, and, facts, statistics, whatever that we, have, and we're giving our opinion on, right? So that's why I want to do it. And I also thought that was one of the best episodes myself, because we hit it off, fine, and hell, we freestyled that one pretty much. I didn't really tell you to go by a script. I didn't really have a script to go by, so, we kind of did and hit it off, and we had some good chemistry in that first episode. So I really want to thank you for that, for bringing that element to my side of it, too.
You're very, very welcome. I did a radio show for about 6 or 7 years, and I can tell you this is that the best shows that I have ever had and the awards that I won for that television show, I can tell you came from unscripted call-ins and unscripted guests that actually sometimes took their headphones off and threw them at me.
Right.
And that's what created the talk, and that's what shot the Southeast Texas Political Review through the roof. So anyway, it's just great. And thank you, Dave. I really appreciate you inviting me on again.
Oh, yes, sir. No problem. No problem. I'm going to try to get you, to be periodic, to give your opinion on certain things that's going on in the city.
Thank you.
And
thank you.
And today, no problem. You're welcome. And what I want to talk about today is the election aftermath, right? The election aftermath that we have in the city. Well, the aftermath that's going to happen to the city, right? Since we reelected Mayor Bartian, right? We missed an opportunity to get somebody else and to have this city move in a different direction, a more positive direction, right? And I want to say, and I want to say, right, what I think the main thing that got him over there is the religious community, right? Unfortunately, you have a lot of people in my community, right, think that any pastor is deserving to be a politician. Now that kind of goes back in history, back when Martin Luther King and we used to have a lot of good, positive, role models in the religious community, right? Good, real strong pastors, right? That used to fight for civil rights, right? So, a lot of the older community kind of kept that same attitude, and regardless if the pastors are good or anything, right? Now we have a lot of, pastors that cheat on their wives, sleep with the people in the community, have babies in the people in the community. So it's not exactly how it was back then during the civil rights era, but we see that we have a lot of elderly people who are still being fooled by these, part-time hustlers that claim to be pastors. So unfortunately, that this religious community, we've reelected another hustler that kind of calls himself a pastor. You want to go ahead and speak something on that, brother?
Well, I like to do things in kind of an orderly way. I think now that we've seen the numbers, where the votes came from, who voted, the first thing that upsets me every election, and I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, Independent, or you fly a helicopter for a living, when you have 50,000 people in a community, 50,000, Dave,
right? Yeah.
50,000 people, and an election is decided by 2,700 people.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, what is that? And so it comes down to apathy. I think the total percentage, and I may be wrong, Dave, but I think there were 26,000 eligible voters, and I think out of that, maybe 12 to 20% voted in the election, the runoff for mayor.
Right.
And let me tell you, as a guy who was brought up in politics looking at numbers, I can tell you, it was a message to, I think, Barty that, hey, look, the city split, and you got 53.7 people that voted for him. But hello, Thurman, what about the 47% others that didn't?
Right.
And I think anyone sitting up on council should kind of raise their eyebrows a little bit and go, okay, that's not good. And it's not. The numbers of people who came out and voted in the primary and then in the runoff vis-a-vis the people that live there, I'm just astonished at it. I mean, you've got a small clique group of people that are electing people to run your city, and that's kind of scary. But it's no different than Beaumont. It's no different than Nederland, Port Neches, Groves, Hampshire, Fannett. I mean, you got a JP out there that barely won out there, and he thinks he's king. And I try to tell politicians, and I get a lot of them come through my office and come sit on my couch in my office and talk to me, and they ask me, "Hey, Klein, what's your opinion of what's going on down here?" And the bottom line is this: there is so much apathy with the voters right now for local elections, and that includes school boards, that includes city councils. I mean, you've got in your school board in the Port Arthur Independent School District, you have two that are said that don't even live in the district.
Right,
one lives in
yeah.
Houston, one lives over in, I think, Texas City. But
Right.
they come over here as an elected official. Is that what the people of Port Arthur want? I don't know. Hey, I have the same problem in the little community I live across 365 in Nederland. For 2 years, we had a district that was unrepresented, but yet there were two people against the law that were elected to one district. I mean, why do, first of all, the first question is, why are politicians arrogant like that where they think they can get away with it? I tell you why. Because it's only the little groups of people that are voting are the people that are getting away with this. And
Right.
they know there's so much apathy. Okay, let's go to door two. Door two is this. Thurman Bartee has to wake up.
Yeah.
This glad handing, big smiling, making silly fool of himself on television. People need a leader. People need someone to look up to. You know, I gave a little talk, I can't remember when, about 6 months ago, to a group of high schoolers. A little round table talk in a government class. And we're all sitting in this big round table, okay? And I want to say maybe it was a year ago. And they explained to the kids what I do. You know, he's a lobbyist. He knows everybody from presidents all the way down to congressmen to senators to just JPs. He just makes sure he knows everybody. And people listen to him. So they started firing questions at me. So I said, okay, before we do this, let me do this. Let me ask you all this quick question. Who is the president of the United States? Raise your hand if you know. I wasn't going to embarrass them. Just if you know. Out of that room, 50% of them didn't know who the president of the United States was.
Right.
Now I said, okay, now let's talk about who the vice president is. Two knew out of, I think there were like 25, 30 kids in the room. Two knew who the vice president of the United States was. I said, who's your two senators? And they all just looked at me. Not one raised their hand.
Right, yeah.
So that kind of scared me a little bit. And I said, okay, who is your mayor that runs this town? And now, it's my dad's friend. They call him Dumpy. I'm like, oh my God. And so I guess the point I'm trying to make, Dave, is I don't think we're teaching civics in school, right? I don't think we're teaching civics in school whatsoever. I think the critical mass theory that they're teaching, putting a condom on a banana, or right. Whatever they do in school to teach them sex education now. Right, I think the kids got that down.
Yeah,
right?
down pat.
I think they got that down, but I really don't think they have civics down. I can tell you, Dave, and it's so sad to say this, that the Port Arthur Independent School District is failing, and you've even come out and talked about it.
Oh yeah.
And it's failing, and why it's failing is because they're not teaching reading, writing, and arithmetic, and we have to get the schools back to teaching reading, writing, and arithmetic. And then last, I think the leaders who run the schools and their city councils and are all the way down to the port commission, I think a lot of people get elected and they don't have any business experience. They need to get business experience. They need to get out in the field and go talk to businessmen and businesswomen. And I'm talking about to the guy on the corner that's selling barbecue, all the way to the Howlett Halls of Motiva. They have to get out and sit down, and they have to talk, and they have to learn, and they have to learn history of their community. And I just don't know where we're going. I just got a flash on my phone as I'm talking to you.
Right.
Kamala Harris Vice President Harris, I got to show her respect, Vice President Harris has now been appointed as the truth manager in the United States. She's going to decide now what the truth is and what the truth is not. And then she's going to try to stifle speech, not just out of Port Arthur, Nederland, Beaumont, Texas, around. I'm telling you, this is scary stuff.
Man,
it's really scary stuff. And I don't think some of the people understand it yet. But to get to the simple point, we have to get our kids educated, and we have to get those kids to colleges, and we have to get them understand how it is to put 2 test tubes together to create gasoline. We have to get them educated so they can go work in these plants and be a viable part of our community and rebuild Southeast Texas. My question to you is, these kids are so scared now. I mean, I know some teenagers down in Port Arthur. I deal with a lot of people. You know, I do in my job.
Right.
And I ask them, what's the number one thing that scares you? And they tell me, going out at night. You can stand out on your back porch and hear gunshots all over the city. You can stand out and hear the police chasing, or you can hear, people get stabbed and murdered and shot and found in their homes dead. And, I don't want to go to college in that type of community. Okay. That's the first thing. Right. But the second thing they say is, I don't want to come back here and raise a family. And that's why we're dying here in Jefferson and Orange. Hey, it's not only Jefferson County, it's Orange County. Hardin County's on fire. I mean, I think anybody that has to do anything with anything has moved to Hardin County. I think Newton County's got problems now. And what I'm trying to say is, I'm not trying to be Mr. Doom and Gloom. So please, Dave, don't take me as that. What I'm trying to say is we've got to work together as communities and say, hey, look, we need to do this, we need to do that, and we need to come together holding hands. And I'll tell you, and the last thing before I'll be quiet, you can ask me my because I can't even see straight. You got a pastor, and you know who I'm talking about, Pastor Politics, up there on the Beaumont City Council. I'm so angry with him. You've got people all over Port Arthur that call themselves pastors, but like you said, they're fathering children out of wedlock. They're not setting an example for kids. That's what I want to say. Kids need school and religion. And we've taken religion out of school. Okay, that's a debate for another day under the Constitution. But we as parents need to shake those kids out of bed at 9 o'clock in the morning, and we need to get them dressed and get in there and listen to the Word of God. And I'm not sitting here saying that I'm the Virgin Mary, because I'm not. But I will say, as you know, I was a firefighter in my community for 27 years. I've never held a man or a woman as they're dying, or I've tried to resuscitate them without people around me praying, or without the patient saying, oh God, please save my soul. And I think we've lost that, Dave. I don't know what you think, but that's what I think. And we need to get the pastors out of politics, and we need to get them back up in the pulpits. We need to reopen some of these churches that are just sitting out there empty and rotting in your community, in my community, in Beaumont's community, and in Jefferson County, all over the place.
Right,
we need to come together as family. And that's what we are in the end, friend. We're family.
Yes, sir. You done said a whole mouthful. You done said a whole mouthful on that one. But but back to, I want to hit one of them points you were said, right? Apathy on the actual voter. Going down to the specific, purpose of the podcast. Apathy. I'm thinking that for my community, right, a lot of people have losing kind of confidence in the political system. I just want to get, a quick opinion on what you thought about that, because I believe that, apathy, that, people that believe that the politicians not going to do anything, don't want to do anything. Hey, whoever we elect, they're going to still do what they want to do anyway. So why even
So
elect or be in the process of
I've
that.
got the perfect story for you. I got the perfect story for you. You know what I do in my real life. I'm an investigator and personal protection officer in the state of Texas. I bodyguard politicians all over Southeast Texas and around the United States, all the way to Washington, D.C. And I travel a lot, and I meet a lot of people. Well, when I heard the hurricane was coming to Southeast Texas, and I think, what was it, 2-3 years ago, when it wiped out pretty much everything again? I can't remember the storm. God, we've had so many. And they called me on the phone and they said, Senator Cruz is coming to Southeast Texas. And we want your team to fly in, because we were held up in Houston. They said, we want your team to fly in, and we want you guys to meet his airplane, and we want you guys to take him around. So we had to fly a bunch of equipment, a bunch of Tahoes in. We had a lot of work to do. We got in, we got set up. And then one of his chief, not his chief of staff, but his advanced man that goes around and does these events, gave me the list of areas that we were going into. And I didn't see Port Arthur on there. I said, what are you doing? He goes, excuse me? I said, what are you doing? You need to go into Port Arthur. Let me get you hooked up with a church that is doing unbelievable work, handing out water, food. They're lining up starting at 2:00 in the afternoon, and because we don't have electricity yet, we have nothing. We got nothing. We got maybe some water. And so he said, well, yeah, I mean, we just didn't know where to go. I said, well, let me look at your list again, and I'll tell you where to go. And I took 3 things off of there, and I put 3 things on. Two of them were in Port Arthur. And I said, you need to talk to these folks. They're hurting. They need to see their leaders. So when Cruz plane pulls up, he walks down. He says, Philip, we're ready to go. I said, we're ready to go. Let's go. So we motorcaded down into Port Arthur, and we went to a church, and I wish I could remember the name of the church. The pastor was absolutely, he was bombfoggled. He just kind of looked at me and said, is this really happening, Mr. Klein? I said, it is. Let's go. And so we brought the senator, a senator in that sits, one of the 100 senators from around the United States was in Port Arthur, Texas. And he didn't go to a plant. He didn't go to a dinner. He didn't go anywhere. You know what he did? He walked up to me and he said, do you mind, as my agents, do you mind if I hand out water over here? And I said, absolutely, we'll make it happen. He handed out water, and we were only supposed to be there for 20 minutes. He handed out water for 1 hour and 45 minutes. And every time I'd come over and say, are you ready? He'd say, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. He gave food out. He gave water out all the way to the end of it. Now, what does that mean? In the grand scheme of things, we all lived through it. We all got drinks of water. We all got food. We all got everything we needed. But it sent a message to Port Arthurans. Hey, you're important. We went down the street to another church a few minutes later. He spent, let me just tell you, he spent more time in Port Arthur than he did anywhere else in the city. He went to Nederland, to the Nederland Fire Department, helped the high water rescue team, shook their hand, told them thank you. Then we went up to OAC, which is the operations center that a lot of people don't know about, that when a big storm comes through, they're in a big steel building up there. Visited with them, shook hands, told them those guys have been awake for 72 hours. Thank them very much. And then we got back in the car, and then we motorcaded back down to the Mid-County Airport. We put him over, brought the motorcade up to the airplane. We got him out of the motorcade, and I walked him up to the airplane to make sure he was safe all the way up on the plane. He turned around, came back down, and shook my hand. And he said to me, he said, Philip, I can't thank you enough for steering us towards Port Arthur. And I said, the people of Port Arthur are hurting. They're hurting. They need help. 2 days later, I get a call, and I can't remember who the mayor was. It was that young man.
Freeman.
Who?
Freeman.
And Freeman calls me on the phone, and he says, thank you. And I said, you're welcome. And what it is that it was a perfect example of that. When we all work together, again, I go back to this, when we all work together, good things can happen.
And whether you're a Democrat, Republican, you're independent, like I say, you fly helicopters for a living. I don't care if you're president of Motiva or you're a guy who sells barbecue on the corner. We all have to be together as a team and work as a team.
Right.
And I don't know about you, Dave, but I don't see that anymore.
Yeah.
I don't see it anymore.
No, because I think it's more so because like now that's kind of nice from a person. Yeah, state. I kind of remember what you're talking about. I forgot, was it Ted Cruz or somebody came down here and
it was Ted Cruz.
Yeah, came down here with giving has passing out water for me. I remember that as a matter of fact.
Water, food, and then he got on his damn little super phone. It has a satellite on it, and he got on there, and we had 2 plane loads full of food in Port Arthur within 24 hours from the United States military.
And then then the thing was funny. What I thought about that, they had the security. I remember seeing the security, the other state troopers, so whatever was kind of surrounded. So it was kind of like,
we were the plainclothes guys. State troopers did the motorcade, and the U.S. Marshals did the driving. And it was a great experience. It actually, my God, what was it? 100 degrees that day? 101?
Right.
It was so hot. And I remember sweating out. Literally, when he got on the plane, he got up in the air, and we do a 30-minute rule. He gets out 30 minutes out of airspace, then we can leave. I must have drank 5 bottles of water. Right. And we were exhausted. But you know what? As exhausted as we were, as excited as we were for the people of Port Arthur, and I just think sometimes Port Arthur is forgotten, but it's forgotten for a reason.
Yeah,
I mean, it really is.
Yeah, it's the main. That's nice. These once in a few year type of events where somebody come down, but the main problem I'm speaking of is we have these, politicians that live here. Yep. As a pastor, that's whatever occupation they in, that continually lie to our citizens, right? And I believe that's one of the main things, the main reasons why we have apathy right now. Now, historically, like the political system, didn't really work for us. It was kind of hard for us to be involved in it. Now we did have a time where we were strongly involved in it. And then, as far as like, when integration kind of happened, people kind of, weaned away from it and kind of was thinking, things are getting better and probably is, a little bit better for black folk and everybody. So they stopped really going to the political process. So, and then the new generation kind of came up.
Can you answer me this question real quickly?
Go ahead,
you bring up a great point. What is the issue? And I don't understand it. What was the issue in the mayoral race? Because I know you know, and I know, and all of us that are media and quasi-media know that now Port Arthur per capita is the murder capital of Texas. Why didn't that come up in the mayoral race?
I don't know why. I don't know why the
Southeast Texas
crime.
Press Club wouldn't let me ask the question.
See, it's just like I told you. I believe that everybody is in on the dilapidation of this city, right? Everybody's in on it. Just like I said, I can't remember if I told you this before we got on the air or after we got on the air. When well, I think I told you before we got off the air. When dealing with Port Arthur, I'm glad you brought it up, right? They want the black folk to be at a state of happiness, right? And joy, right? That's why they promote these little fun days on the seawall. They promote these class reunions. They want to have black folk in a state of inebriation or just partying all the time, not really thinking about what's going on. So whenever you bring up the murder capital, right? Whenever you bring up the crime, that's going to that's going to rub people the wrong way, right? Especially us and black folk in this. That's going to rub us the wrong way. We're going to be like, hey, we need to stop partying. We need to stop doing this. And hey, what's going on with the murder rate? So that's why these things are not being brought up. Because if you bring it up, you're going to have to hold somebody accountable. And you're going to have to hold the council accountable, right? So when you hold the council accountable, you're going to have to reelect certain folks, right? You're going to have people start digging into the city, what's really going on in the city, right? And if you have this mayor, like, this mayor or, whatever council member working deals for these people that's outside of the city, right? You have certain companies doing certain things that you can't get a city company to do, right? All these little deals that are being cut, you're going to take a look at that and you're going to start questioning, why are we not doing this? Why are we not doing that? What's going on? Because you can easily take care of some of these, issues where you have a lot of murders in these apartments, right? Like at Avery Trace, right? You can, kind of put in nuisance ordinance, so that's a tool that you can kind of, is at the city's kind of like discretion to kind of have it as a nuisance ordinance, get them to go ahead and try to do something with the crime and, to kind of like clean it up, or they'll have some like levy some penalties against the apartment complex. So
right,
those things should be done. They should be talked about, but they're casually talked about. And then, hey, you have you have a police chief, right? That really can't really focus on it because he has to play politics, right? Just like we said from last time, you had Brian McDougal and Patrick Melvin, right? They was playing, politics where they pretty much destroyed this whole police force down, right? They pretty much was firing everybody, getting them getting some babies in the back hollering. I know this one I want to talk, grandbabies hollering, everybody hollering in the background. So
God love the babies.
Yeah, so whenever we have, well, I almost lost my train of thought. Now, what was I saying? What was I saying again? What was I saying?
Well, your point was coming up to the mayors and the police chiefs.
Oh yeah, the police chief. Yeah, I got it.
And the politics that are played rather than, and let me just give you my opinion. If I was a mayor,
right.
If I was mayor of Port Arthur, let me tell you what I'd do. I'd call Tim Durso. I'd call Tim in and say, okay, here's the deal. I know you work for the city manager, but I'm the mayor. The crap's falling on my shoulders. We got to come up with a plan. Let's get a committee together and come up with a plan on A, what's the problem, and B, what's the solution. What do you think about that? And see what he says. You've got to have, it's like what Singletary did up in Beaumont. He said, he had hot spots just like you were talking about. Yeah. Hot spots, Avery Trace, his Avery Trace up there is, I forget the name, over on Avenue A, where they've had 4 shootings and everything else. He put full-time patrol officers in that area on shift, and it solved everything within a week period. No more shootings. Now, it shoved the crime in other areas, but as I'm sure if Chief Singletary were here, he would tell you 90% of the crime has to do with drugs. So what's the solution? Get a drug team in here. DEA sitting up there. They'll be glad to come help. They're tired of going into pharmacies, I'm sure, and doing inventories. I'm sure that they would love to come and put their gear on and come down here. Call the U.S. Marshals. What a great group of people. Come down to Port Arthur. Patrol the streets. Help us. We need help. But I don't hear the, hey, we need help. I don't see the flag up. But then again, I'm not a cop. I don't understand cop business. I'm in a completely different business. My job is to cover and evacuate, not run to. Their job is run to. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, Dave, you're kind of right on the money. We are agreeing again. God, that's starting to scare me now. Mm-hmm. We agree again, my friend. Right, that we've got to get the drugs off the street. We've got to get the pastors in the pulpit. We've got to elect good people on school boards that live in our community, right?
Yeah, and not actually bring their kids to the school district.
That's right. We got to have a council who cares. And if you can do all that, I think Port Arthur is limitless. But, you start driving around again and everything's dilapidated and there goes Central Mall and, oh, God, it's just... It's just you got to breathe, everybody's just got to breathe. And Dave, you're a community leader now. You're a community leader. John Beard's a community leader. We've got other community leaders. The mayor, he's a community leader. The city council, they're community leaders. Tim Duraso is a community leader. Some of these guys that are officers that have been around Port Arthur forever, 30 years, 25 years, they're community leaders. We got to get the community leaders together and come up with some plans. And you know what? It may not be popular, but it might have to be heavy-handed there for a little while. Am I wrong?
You're not totally wrong. I think you have a lot of decent things in you, in what you were saying. But like I was kind of originally saying, right? We need to first tear down the politics of this, right? Because you have a police chief now. Instead of dealing with the crime, he has to worry about politics. He has to worry about if they want him to what do they want him to do? If they want him to kind of be friendly or whatnot, if you have to smile in these clowns' face, because understand the council does not have the intelligence to go ahead and fix this themselves, right? They don't have the intelligence to kind of stop. See, they don't really run the city, right? You have
they
these
don't
other
understand.
yeah, they don't really run the city. Just like I told you, they had other law enforcement agents was coming pounding on on our head because they had their shoe in McDougal with the casino, and they had the shoe in police chief with the casino, right? So they had some influence on the city, right? So we had like Patrick Melvin come in from out of town and destroy the police department. You don't really do that. Nobody does that on their own, so they had to be given orders to come out of town to clear this out. And then, like I was trying to tell people, that hold on, just because they're firing police officers, that doesn't necessarily mean it's good. You have to understand, if it's for the citizens' benefit, they would have had to have a call from that. You would have had to have a community outcry for them to go ahead and try to, hey, get rid of the police, right? Saying, hey, it has been something like, hey, community has been saying like, hey, these police are have a problem beating up on the kids, planting drugs, something illegal that they're doing, or perceived illegal, to kind of have that action being taken. But if you're firing police officers just for the nilly-willy of it, that doesn't have anything to do with you. It may end up being bad. And then also, in my opinion, being bad, it took like a lot of the veteran officers off the force who had a lot of influence. And then you had, got a lot of new guys now, and you have a lot of lawsuits being, flown everywhere. So,
I know. Yeah. I know. Man, let me tell you something.
Paying money for a high dollar.
Being a cop in Southeast Texas is one of the hardest jobs in the United States of America. It's dangerous, okay, and these guys want to go home to their wives and husbands and children, okay. They want to go home to their families. Two, they don't feel, and I know a lot of the cops, they don't feel they have the backup of their city councils. They just don't. And I don't understand why the city council doesn't see that. And for that matter, Beaumont or Port Arthur, Port Neches, I don't know why the city councils don't see or don't feel like they have the backing of their cops' backs. I mean, the cops are too sometimes, they get pulled over for speeding, right? Mm-hmm. And you should watch some of these videos where they go, do you know who I am? You're Mrs. Jones? Well, yeah, but do you know who my husband is? No, I don't know who your husband is, but I do know you were going 73 and a 20, and you can't do that. Well, I can do anything I want to in this town. And then you got to have a set of judges, once they get the ticket, rather than dismiss it, say, you know what, Miss Jones, you can't drive 73 and a 20 in this city. You can't do it. So slow down. And they're not doing that. They're saying, oh, I'll take care of it. Don't worry about it. I'll take care of it. Don't worry about it. It's all about, in Southeast Texas, about who you know, not what you do. And I tell you, we all just kind of, we just shake our heads sometimes, especially the industry I'm in. We all just shake our heads and say, why? And the cops are shaking their heads going, why? Why should I even pull this car over? Because I know who it is, and they know somebody there it is, and it's a waste of my time. I can go on to another case or call or whatever. And then we all ask ourselves, well, why is Port Arthur, the per capita murder capital of Texas, A, but B, most importantly, why is Jefferson County suffering from a crime wave? Well, we know why. It's not about the crime. It's about who you know, and that's sad.
Well, yeah. That's probably more prevalent to somebody in the West End and Beaumont than over here. You know,
Hey,
I mean, yeah.
Same thing, baby.
Some.
I'm with you.
Yeah,
I'm with you. The same crap happens out in the West End of Beaumont.
It's a lot of more poverty here, and you know.
It is.
I see what you're saying. But it's less. There's not as many people here that's going to say, "Hey, I can call somebody to kind of get out of this ticket," unless they, you know, just have a family member that's in there. You know, that's kind of a little bit few and far between in Port Arthur.
Let's be flat out and honest, okay? Let's be flat out and honest if we really want to be. And Barty's going to get mad at me and say, I'm just picking on it. I'm not picking on Barty. Barty has never been a successful businessman and dealt with the business community. He never has.
Right. Well, you just remind me. Yeah, now that happened doing with Barty when he tried to get one of his family members, you know, off. He called him, and then they supposed to have some kind of crack in the car or whatever, some drugs in the car. That happened when he was JP. Now, you got that.
Floyd Batiste has not only been in business, but he's actually run and was very successful at running an EDC until his counterpart decided, well, that's a lot of money over there. I think I'm going to go make a run for that money.
Yeah.
And sure enough, they got Batiste fired. I mean, it's just, I guess it all goes back to what you said a long time ago when we were talking. Follow the money. Just follow the money.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up, right? That's the next area that I was want to go.
Sure.
What do you think that you've been hearing in the business community, right? As far as like that we missed the call here, instead of getting an actual honest business person to kind of represent the city as mayor, we still have Mayor Barty. And let me give you something that he, you know, that's under his watch that he done, right? Or they didn't do. Now under Barty's watch, right? We were supposed to move out of the health department, right? We were supposed to move out of the downtown health department and move to the new one that we have on 9th Avenue, right?
This is another horror story.
Yeah, for some reason, I don't know, they didn't do it, or they didn't get the city manager to do it, so we didn't end up surveying the property. So now we have to, it's causing delays. So where we now have to stay in the old health department building for 2 years and pay Motiva rent for it now. And that also pushes back the Motiva project for at least 2 years until they come down here and actually get everything together. And then, you know, once we move out and everybody else move out, they can go ahead and start doing the renovation process, right? What do you think the business community, or what have you heard the business community saying about a person like Thurman Barty being in leadership versus anybody else, right? And as far as like his lack of leadership skills and his lack of understanding on how, you know, how even business runs, or how government operates, you know?
Well, let me run down the list for you, because I do know, because I talk to these guys. Okay, Washington, D.C., our representatives out there, they just shake their head. They don't understand. They don't understand how a multi-million dollar mistake can be made in a poverty-stricken community. They don't get it. They call it mismanagement. Then let's go to the state of Texas, up in Austin, Texas. That makes the representatives out of Austin, Texas shake their heads and go, well, why do we want to inject more money if it's just going to be mismanaged? Now let's go down to the community leaders in the business community, the bankers, the lawyers, name me some lawyers' offices in Port Arthur. You can't.
Right.
There's like 2 or 3. Right. But, you know, they don't, there's no new construction on any lawyers' offices. When you start seeing new lawyers and doctors' offices, that's when you know, okay, something's going on. We're getting cranked up.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. It's a great point.
Then when you get to the county level, they look at it and go, it's just Port Arthur. They fly on the seat of their pants. They spend, they got the OPM, and you know what that's called? Other people's money disease.
Right.
That's what it is. And they spend other people's money. Yeah, they'll go to these conferences and they'll go up to Austin and stay in a 5-star hotel and order room service and a bottle of champagne for a bottle of champagne for two, and everybody goes, a bottle of champagne for two? Wait a minute, aren't you married?
Yeah, exactly.
And then you get to the locals, and the locals go, well, I gotta say something in council. And then they start finding reasons why, well, you only have 2 minutes in front of us, or you only have 30 seconds in front of us. God help us all, Dave, if they start shutting down speech. Because really, even the county, they don't want to hear from you. They have no interest in hearing from you because they have OPM. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, you had and the final step is the big time business community, the oilmen and the guys, the suppliers and those sort of things. They don't have time for that crap. They just don't. I mean, our nation right now is in a crisis with food supply, gas supply, oil and gas supply. We are in a crisis right now. If you haven't figured it out, go buy groceries at the grocery store. Go try to buy a gallon of gas for $5. I mean, where's that money going to come from? And they're desperately trying to figure out, well, they cut off our supply out of Canada, so now we've got to go to the Saudis and get gas. The manufacturers, the guy who has the 18-wheelers and brings the food and the meat and the potatoes to the grocery store so, you and I can have dinner, they're going, wait a minute now, I've got to jack my price up 50% because I'm paying 50% more in gas. I mean, and it's just a round circle right now, and everybody's pointing fingers. Okay, enough pointing fingers. Let's fix it. We're smart people in the United States. Let's fix it. Let's quit worrying about critical mass theory being taught in school. Let's talk about economics. Let's get our high school kids going. Let's get them into college and get better curriculum. And it's just so much of a bigger problem. But us people like you and me, Dave, and like I know 2 people on your city council down there that are pretty smart people. They kind of get it, but they're too scared to keep their seat. Someone has to stand up, and you and I have laughed about this. I could never get elected dog catcher because I tell people exactly how the dog pound was run, and people would run to the ditch and throw up because they don't want to see it. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to smell it. They don't want to touch it. They don't want to lick it. They don't want to look at it. They don't want to do any of that, Dave. Nobody wants to do that because then they would go, okay, we really need real change. And no real change is going to come as long as the people running our governments are running our governments.
Right, and you brought up a good point I want to expound on, right? And it is true. This country is going into a recession, right? We got explosive all-time records with gas prices. We have explosive food shortages. You're probably going to have other type of shortages. I mean, it's crazy. It's going to get to the Wild Wild West, and then unfortunately, Port Arthur, we have a clown as a mayor. Unfortunately, and with this actually now, the good thing that this city is a council manager form of government, right? So the mayor doesn't have that much control on its own, except when we're in an emergency management crisis. So unfortunately,
that's right.
We have this clown that may have any type of, if he's inebriated off or whatever, right? In case he have like some kind of critical meltdown, say for instance, right, we have another flood. His personal home gets flooded down, wherever he living at. Say for instance, he lose a lot of stuff and he trips and go backs on some type of alcohol, get drunk, or some type of, prior history of a narcotic, right? I'm just speculating on this.
No, I'm not. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. He would have sole control over the emergency management process. Now, I have to kind of get you to remember some things, right? He wanted to call an early evacuation against the county judge's against the county judge's recommendation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I understand these emergency management things that they have a process to it, right? You got to get called in by the feds, the state, the county, then local. But unfortunately, like, Boy T wanted to jump the gun, or he did jump the gun on that. So when people trying to evacuate and they think they're going to get reimbursed from FEMA, it's like, no, you're not going to get reimbursed in that because Mayor Bartier is out of order. So just imagine if he has these rash outbursts on something serious, right? Now, that last time, I don't know if he was, inebriated or anything, or he had some kind of prior substance abuse come back. But hell, this time, the whole world is kind of in the flip-flop flimsies, right? If we have to evacuate, it's going to be hell with $5 gas, and man, it's going to be crippling.
Nobody
on the
be
roads.
able to get out of Southeast Texas. You're going to have to honker down and ride it out here.
Exactly. So we gonna have
But here, let me say this to you.
Go ahead.
Tonight, I don't know if you've watched the news at all.
I didn't watch it.
But there was 2 killed tonight in a church shooting. Another mass shooting tonight. There was another mass shooting tonight. So everybody's, let's take the guns. Well, the guns aren't the issue. The people are.
Yeah.
The people who shoot the guns.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So that's the first thing. The second thing is, here we go again. We've got these crazy ass people up in Washington, D.C., all worried about this January 6th thing, while everybody is running around with $5-6 a gallon gas, can't get food, can't get female products. I mean, you go down the list and you go, when is Washington going to wake up? When is Austin going to wake up? When is Port Arthur City Council going to wake up? Enough. Stop it. It's all political theater. Let's get back to work. Let's fix this problem. Say what you want to say about Trump, but if I remember right, wasn't gas $1.99? Didn't the consumer price index, wasn't it at its lowest level? Wasn't the unemployment rate at national unbelievable lows? I mean, I didn't like the way he tweeted. I didn't like the way he acted sometimes. I didn't like the way he said things sometimes. But you know what? He ran the government like a business, and people didn't like it. But God dang, the American people sure did good. And, stock market over 35,000. I mean, you go through the list of what this man did. The oil people didn't like him that much because, the price of oil was down, $50 a barrel, $45 a barrel? Yeah, you can't make money at that. But anyway, your bottom line is this. We have a generation of numbskulls coming through right now. It's a whole generation. We have lost an entire generation. Why do I say that? This poor little boy in your community, King Dewey, and he passed because of neglect from his mother, and I guess it was his auntie, who decided to lock him up in a closet so they could go to the club. Who does that? I mean, I've heard of some horrible things, and I've worked a lot of horrible things, and I continually, as an investigator, work a lot of horrible things. But where did these kids get this from? Where did they lose their morals? Where did they lose their mind thought of what is right and wrong? I can tell you again, it comes back to high school. It comes back to drugs. It comes back to not enough pastors in the pulpits talking to these young kids, having young life, having all the little community things that your community had that was leadership over the 15-year period before Port Arthur really started going down. And I tell you, Dave, God bless it. I want to see us all survive. I want to see us all do good things. And I know a lot of people, your listeners out there, are right now going, Klein, you're just talking bad about Port Arthur. No, I'm not. Read me. I go after everybody, Republicans, Democrats, independents, you name it, city councils, port commissions, that sort of thing. You know what? Let's get on these port commissioners, Dave. If you really want to start, if we really, really, really want to start, let's get on these damn port commissioners and shut down some of these drug avenues coming in through the ports.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
everybody, oh, well, you don't know what you're talking about, Klein. Yeah, I know I don't. But,
Yeah. We might have to check that out. That'll have to be a whole different show right down the port and what's going on in the port, because I got to get myself freshened up on that.
Yeah,
but
and
back
when are
on
some of these mamas? When are some of these mamas going to get out there at the schools and start beating back some of these drug dealers? When are they going to start reporting them? When are they going to start doing the things they have to do to make it right? You know, we got to get the parents back involved.
Well,
fathers, dads.
Well,
I mean, you know, everybody says, well, Port Arthur has a problem because none of the dads are involved in the children's lives. And I go, that's bull. There's some great daddies out there that not only take care of their children, but neighborhood kids.
The school
Be a leader in your community. Don't be a follower. Be a leader.
The school district always wants to blame the parents on there, but hell, when you have a superintendent like Ma Portery that signs letters to put support letters to put liquor stores right in front of the school, it doesn't make any sense. It's just, you might as well just put a drugstore right there, because
I'm 60 plus years old, my friend.
It's all together.
And I can tell you, I grew up in Houston, Texas, in a not so nice neighborhood. Okay, and I struggled. My parents struggled through the oil shutdown in the 80s and the 70s. I mean, it was tough, friends. It was tough. But let me tell you something. My daddy was always there pushing me, saying, you can do better, you can do better, you can do better. We can work hard, good work ethic. Always thank a man for a job, because you know what? He never had to give it to you in the first place. That was one of the things my dad instilled in my brain at 15 years old when I was washing dishes inside of a Denny's restaurant. Right. I never forget it. My daddy, when he dropped me off for my first day of work, said, don't ever forget this, Philip. That man didn't have to hire you. You thank that man for the job when you walk in, and the day you leave, you walk out and shake him and tell him thank you for the opportunity. Mm-hmm. People got to remember that. Right. And that comes right from the Bible. Right. People need to start remember that. And I just told you, I'm not Mr. Religion, okay? I'm not the Virgin Mary. I'm not a pastor, okay? But I am a guy that keeps track of these things with young people, because unfortunately I have to sometimes hold their parents after telling them their loved one's dead, or I have to chase their kids down through Houston or wherever, it's just, I guess what I'm trying to tell you is, you're right, Dave. I mean, you've been right all along. We have to start at the beginning. That's what we have to do.
Now let me go ahead and jump back to one of the original points that I was kind of, speaking on right now. It's detrimentally important for Port Arthur, right, to understand when we have a psychopath that's over the emergency, that makes the final decision over the emergency management process. It's and let me go ahead and lay out a scenario like this, right? We have to evacuate. Gas is $5 a gallon. A lot of people's not going to evacuate. A lot of people's going to stay here and hunker down. You have people here to hunker down. They're going to need exceptional leadership during this time of crisis, right? Say as you have a large majority of people that's hunkering down over here. Boom. So you got people hunkering down. Storms come in. Spots are flooded. You need Red Cross to come in. Red Cross going to first need people to get to evacuate. Where they're going to evacuate to? They're going to evacuate to the civic center. What spots do you have already set up? So, and then as a mayor, since he falsely put everything out there, right? Like he's the sole person that's in charge, right? Well, he will be in charge for his emergency management, but since he's put everything like he runs the whole city, right? Everybody's going to be calling about this and that. Look, Mayor, my house is on fire. Mayor, my house is flooded. Man, F you, Mayor, you can't do this stuff. The mayor's getting flooded with all kinds of calls. He's getting cursed out at the time of the emergency management, right? Hell, we don't need a guy that may get tripped up and go back on this narcotic because he don't goddamn know what to do, right? Or he goddamn going crazy. If he going crazy, relapse back on a narcotic or whatever, make some kind of stupid, ignorant ass call that can get a lot of people hurt or disrupt a whole bunch of things. Now, the thing that I'm saying is, right, he's trying to make an issue that, well, first off, when he first got in office, he was talking some nonsense about a 100-day plan, right? Where in the hell that happened? You haven't really heard him say anything about that because in the form of government that we have, right, there's a council manager form of government, like he said at a week mayor. You can't make certain type of 100-day plans of what you're going to do because you really can't do them without the support of the whole council. So you can't say anything unless the whole council say. You have to have the council's agreement into saying that. So after that, right, he stopped talking that crap on the 100-day plan. Now he's talking about the progress on the emergency management. Look, the emergency management process has been there, right? It's always been there. So you can't screw up this plan unless you do something like Derek Freeman, start changing the people that's over the emergency management process, right? That's the only way you kind of screw up some stuff. And then Freeman wanted to get greedy, right? Allegedly, he had only one doggone trash company come in, and then, you know, they didn't really have the equipment to do all of the stuff.
I remember that.
Yeah, so a lot of people complained. Man, look, a lot of people complain. I even think they got the state involved or something like that. They was go, you know, come down and do something. But then he let everybody else come through. That's stupid. You know, that's just a side hustle.
I get it.
Some
but
people call it a dope deal. Go ahead,
Dave. It all goes back to what we talked about at the beginning of this podcast. It all goes back to you have a leader, so-called, a man, mayor, that just got reelected for what is it, 2 or 4 years? I think it's 4.
3 years.
3 years. He's elected for 3 more years. Okay? But he's never, ever run a business. The ins and outs of a business, and the first thing you learn in business as a good manager is you put a good team around you. Police chief, fire chief, public works, water department, roads and bridges. You've got to put a good team together so everybody can do their job. There's not one man in a county or a city government, not one man that can run a city, okay? One man doesn't run a city. It takes teamwork. It takes a group of people working together as a team. And I'm telling you, I'm telling you, Dave, if we get a bad one through here, the people aren't going to be able to get out of Port Arthur. People are going to flood their homes again. We may even have loss of life like we did on that last storm. And I'm telling you, there's going to be panic, and he has got to take a step back, reassess who he is, because he's got 3 more years, right? He's got to reassess who he is, and he's got to reassess his team. Do I think Tim Duraso's a good police officer? Hell yes, I do. But I think, like you said, he's held back by the constraints of politics. Do I think the new fire chief I think he's from California or something? Do I think he's a good man? I hear nothing but great stuff from the firemen. The firemen love him, think he's doing a great job. So now you got your 2 emergency first responders. They're okay. And the city manager, I don't know him that well. He seems to rule very quietly. He's very, very quiet in how he does things. I think he likes his job. Okay, great. Yeah. And so you go in your emergency management team. There's your core emergency management team. Let them do their jobs. Stay away. If the fire chief needs something, tell the emergency manager, i.e. mayor, I need this, this, and this. Put out a public plea. If the police chief needs the city shut down at 8 o'clock, tell the mayor, I need you to get up here and say, shut it down at 8 o'clock because we've got a lot of work to do on the streets and roads, and we need everybody off the streets. That's how it should work. But not one man standing up there and saying, I want my city shut down at 8. You can't do that. You can't do that because people will reject you, people will revolt, and you'll get what you got right now. And Mayor Barty needs to sit down, say a prayer, ask for help, cut out all this crazy ass travel to around the United States. Oh,
Yeah.
it's an opportunity to bring business in here. People take one ride through Port Arthur right now and go, I'm not moving here. We're not coming here. The roads are falling apart. You got water leaks everywhere. Just wait till we get to the heat of the summer. We just started warming up. The roads are horrific. The sewers are horrific. All these things. He just needs to focus right now on his city. Focus on his city. Don't get on any more airplanes. Don't go to any more 5-star hotels and order bottles of champagne. No more of this. The city is not here for your entertainment. The city, you are here to be a leader. And I tell all the mayors this that I talk to, you're here to be a leader. Be a damn leader. Cut this crap out.
Yeah.
And all this league of cities and league of mayors and league of this. I tell you, Dave, and you said it 3 or 4 podcasts ago. You said it, and you were right, is that people better start waking up because, money ain't, as you can tell, money ain't so plentiful right now, and it's fixing to get worse. Yeah. I heard a report today out of Austin. They're expecting $6 a gallon gas by August 15th.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah. We'll see about
Where
that.
are you going to get that from, Dave?
Yeah. You're right. You're right.
Okay.
And good thing, fortunately, right? Fortunate for us, right? The mayor, the city manager has a group of people around him where he hired them. So the mayor, he doesn't need a group of people right now, and in the type of government that we have. But he has a good group of people by default during the emergency management process, right? When Freeman screwed that up, they definitely got that ironed out and fixed. So regardless of who's mayor, right? If you just don't dick it up, everything should be fine because you have the trained people, the people with the experience that knows what to do, right? That's not fine. But your mayor, he tried to make it seem like if you don't have him, it's gonna be a problem. See, that's what I can't stand about this lying ass dog, right? This goddamn dog lies about everything, and that's what's the biggest thing that people don't understand. This guy consistently lies about everything that he's done, everything that he's going to do. This management system doesn't have anything to do with him. He just makes the calls at the end. So if he don't screw it up, it should be all right.
About Barty, he can shuck and jive. He can wear those fine ass suits and he can get up there and talk about this and that and everything else. But in the end, when it comes down to the nut cutting and running a business, and one of the last things I want to say to you tonight is when it comes down to running the business of the city, he don't know nothing. He doesn't know. And that's okay because he's elected by the people. I get it. I understand it. We are the people. We elected him to office. I'm an outsider, but I can see it. Everybody, nobody trusted Batiste. Why? Well, 46% of this, 47% of the people trusted Batiste. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is, I know you got to bring this to an end, is that the people of Port Arthur need to start at the bottom up and keep working and get this thing straight. And I'm not, again, let me say this again, Port Arthur can do it. They can do it. And we talk about Boss Hogg and we talk about all the people in the past. Everybody needs to forget about that crap and everybody needs to start focusing on what's there today. And because yesterday is yesterday and it's over. Can't change it. We're here today. We need to focus on it. And you can't fear tomorrow because, as Dave, you and I talked about off air, is that, you never know what's going to happen to you tomorrow. Am I right?
Yeah. Boss Hogg is the reason why he's here. People like him is here today. So, yeah.
Well, but it's over. He's here.
Yeah, he's here. Yeah. He's here. And that's the, reason. He's the effect. The hog is the cause.
Cause and effect.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, but if you want, I'll go ahead and I'll let you go. I'm gonna finish out, kind of, giving a dialogue some things I didn't get a chance to give to you.
I know.
Speak on
But
it.
listen,
So yeah, that's cool.
Dave, you keep it rolling, keep it going. You're doing a great job. You're doing a great job to the citizens of Port Arthur. And I can tell you this right now. As long as we get people like you stand up and say, you know what, look, this has got to be fixed. We need about 10 Super Daves.
Oh yeah.
Maybe
absolutely.
spawn a Super Dave.
yeah, we do. We really do.
Whatever, but we got to get more people like you, Dave. And I'm very proud to be on your show. And I thank you so very, very much for the opportunity. And thank the people of Port Arthur. I know some of them just absolutely deplore me, but you know what? I don't deplore them, and I don't want to deplore anybody. I just want to see everybody succeed. I don't care who you are, what color you are, and what your nationality is, and what your religion is. I want everyone to succeed.
Yes, sir. And I appreciate that, brother. And with that case, I'll go ahead and let you go, and I'm gonna go ahead and give a little bit more commentary. But appreciate it, brother. And take it easy until next time.
Thanks, Dave. We'll talk to you soon.
Yes, sir.
Bye-bye.
Okay, yes, sir. Appreciate that. It was, Philip Klein. I wanted to stay on some because I wanted to get some more information out there, right? Now back to, I know we kind of got off topic and went on some national stuff. We're supposed to be doing local, but that's how we kind of do it sometimes. We kind of going off script on this, so forgive us on that. But the main reason why I had this podcast again is to kind of give like the election aftermath and kind of let you know. PA, we done played ourselves, right? We done played ourselves by re-electing this guy. Now, just like I was saying, understand you don't need a guy that's going to have a mental breakdown on on what we need to do, right? We're going to need somebody that's professional, that's going to be able to communicate, is going to be able to get things done, not come up with the craps, hey, you need to evacuate between you and Jesus or whatever that crap he said last year or a few years ago during that storm, right, during that evacuation. So, and the problem why we get stuck with these type of clowns, right, is because we have to understand politics, people. We have to learn when people are lying to us. We have to understand when we see if a person's lying. I don't give a damn what type of religion they is, if they're a pastor, not pastor. These are all snakes, right? These are all fallen angels, so to speak, right? These are all devils. So understand when you have a person that is flawed like him, right? He doesn't understand how to conduct a meeting. He doesn't understand like what that this type of government has charters and ordinances in it, right? I did a TikTok video that's been going around a lot, that him talking about Port Arthur has a constitution and the emergency management system, that he has a constitution. Look, Port Arthur does not have a constitution. We have charters and ordinances, right? So these charters and ordinances was kind of govern the city, run the city. These are the rules of the city. So this is what we go by. So, he doesn't understand it, right? If he doesn't understand the foundation of what this city is, right? What the great city of Port Arthur, Texas is, how can he do anything that's complex? He's going to only muck up anything else that's complex. So people, we have to understand how serious politics is, and we can't just put any type of clown, any type of recovering drug addict, or any type of nut in these positions, because it can be direly detrimental to the livelihood and what's going on. And I want to kind of talk about this, having a business person. Now, a business person is cool, right? You want to have somebody that has some type of understanding in business. But the thing is, that's not the only thing, right? Just because a person is a business person doesn't mean he's a good business person. He or she is a good business person, right? Because hell, that liquor store that's over there by the doggone school, that was business decision, right? The business decision from the superintendent to the board to the doggone city council and the property owners. All that was a business idea. So, understand And just because a person is a business person doesn't make it, it's good. Just like the EDC, they want to go ahead and take the money, right? You have different business people that wants to do that in the name of a new cement company, right? But they want to do a hostile takeover of the EDC. So those things are being perpetrated by quote unquote business folk. And hell, things on the Pleasure Island, you have quote unquote a business person want to have the sale of it or bring something to you, but they refuse to come to council, right? While council have these discussions and a violation of the Open Meeting Act outside from the council. They need to come to the council and discuss exactly what they want to do for the citizens, what they want to bring over there, right? That's the proper procedure that these things should be done. Now, if we don't understand this, we're going to always have problems with it, right? So people just understand we are kind of going back. We're degrading. We're going backwards, so to speak, in what this city is supposed to do, right? That's why we don't have streets done. That's why we have leaking meters of. I think we still have that. We haven't done the pipe bursting crew in a while. Some of these drainage projects are not getting done because we have a council, right, an incompetent council that's just letting the mayor and Frank, right, some of those guys just trying to do what they want to do and to try to claim that they run the city, right? So this helps out the city manager because he can say, hey, the council, they run it, Technically, they're his boss, right? But city manager runs the day-to-day operation. But you have a egotistical, power-hungry guy like Mayor Bartee that's incompetent, that doesn't give a damn about lying to you. He is going to make you pretend that he runs the city, right? So that he can get credit for, things are going on. So that's also the bad things, right? So the city manager doesn't have to do all that he has to do because he can say, hey, mayor trying to run this joker. So, the mayor running the council. So, hey, it's bad for all people involved, right? Because the city manager's going to act like, hey, I don't have anything to do. That's what they want him to do. So the city council and the mayor, he's going to tell you some bull crap, but he doesn't actually know how it's supposed to function, and then there's going to be a problem. So it's just all bad, right? Basically, everything I'm saying is all bad because you have a mayor and council want to change it from the way that the city operates, right? Want to change it from the way the city operates until something that they want to do the day-to-day operations of it, which is going to cause an imbalance of problems because they don't know what you need to do as a city manager that runs the day-to-day operations. So it's just a lot of problems. Hey, we gotta start thinking about our next move. You have a gentleman that wants to go ahead and try to do a petition, but a petition for a recall. So, they might try to get that stuff going like 3 months after Mayor Bartee is sworn in, because that's when they have to do it, because due to the charter, they have to wait 3 months after the mayor is sworn in to do it. So whenever that comes through, I'll probably be bringing some more information on that. The sooner the day comes, or I might interview the dude, kind of early, Rob. I might interview him sometime. It just depends if I want to do him early or closer to the 3 months to kind of give everybody a little taste of what you're trying to do to the recall petition. I'll decide at a later time. But everybody, just stay vigilant, keep watching this guy, and understand you may have another opportunity to try to have a recall election to remove this guy. So everybody share, like this podcast. Until later, take it easy. Peace.